Welcome to DreamWave English. I'm Sophia, and today we're starting something powerful together. If you've ever studied English for years, understood grammar, memorized vocabulary, passed exams, but still felt slow, blocked, or unnatural when you speak, this video is for you. Stay with me, because what you're about to learn is not another list of phrases or rules. It's a shift in how your brain works. Here's a simple but uncomfortable truth. You don't speak English fluently because you don't think in English. Most learners translate. They think in their first language, then convert their thoughts into English. That process is slow, exhausting, and it breaks your confidence. Real fluency happens when English becomes your first reaction, not your second step. In this video, I'll show you how to think in English all day, naturally, without forcing it, using 7 practical habits. These habits are used by advanced speakers, immigrants, professionals, and even native-level bilinguals. And the best part is, you don't need to move abroad, quit your job, or study for 5 hours a day. You need structure, consistency, and the right mental habits. Let me ask you something. When you wake up in the morning, what language do you think in first? When you plan your day, talk to yourself, or replay conversations in your head, what language is that? For most learners, it's not English. And that's the core problem. Thinking in English is not a talent, it's a habit, and habits can be built. Today, we begin with habit 1. This habit changes everything. If you master this, the other 6 habits become much easier. Habit 1 is called narrate your life in simple English. This sounds basic, but it's incredibly powerful. Throughout your day, you describe what you're doing, what you see, and what you feel, using very simple English sentences, not advanced vocabulary, not perfect grammar, simple, clear, present moment English. For example, you wake up and think, I'm getting out of bed, I feel tired, I need water. When you brush your teeth, you think, I'm brushing my teeth. The water is cold. I'm late today. When you walk outside, you think, the air feels warm. There are many people. I hear traffic. This is not childish. This is how children become fluent. And this is how adults rebuild fluency at a high level. Many C1 and C2 learners resist this habit because it feels too easy. They think, I already know this. But knowing vocabulary is not the same as automatic thinking. Automatic thinking only comes from repetition in real time. Your brain needs thousands of small, correct, low-stress repetitions. Narration gives you exactly that. Now here's the rule. You must not translate. If you don't know a word, don't stop. Use a simpler word. If you don't know exhausted, say, very tired. If you don't know annoyed, say, not happy. Fluency is not about precision at first. It's about flow. Another important rule, you do this silently in your mind, or quietly, out loud, when you're alone. You don't need a notebook. You don't need a nap. Your life becomes the lesson. Let me explain why this works at a deep level. When you narrate your life, you connect English directly to reality, not to your first language. The word chair is no longer a translation. It becomes the object you see. The phrase, I'm hungry, becomes a physical feeling. This is how native speakers think. Words are attached to experiences, not dictionaries. At first, this habit will feel slow. You might forget. You might switch back to your native language. That's normal. Don't judge yourself. Just return to English the moment you notice. I want you to start small. Choose 2 moments of the day. For example, morning routine, and evening routine. Narrate only during those times for 1 week. That's it. Don't try to think in English all day yet. We're building the foundation. Here's an advanced upgrade for C1, C2 learners. Add emotions and reasons. Instead of only saying, I'm working, say, I'm working, and I feel focused. Instead of, I'm tired, say, I'm tired because I didn't sleep well. This adds depth without complexity. You're training your brain to form full thoughts, not just labels. Now let me address a common fear. Many learners worry about making mistakes in their head. They ask, what if my English thinking is wrong? Here's the truth. Your brain doesn't need perfection. It needs consistency. Even native speakers think in incomplete, messy sentences. Fluency is not correctness. Fluency is speed and comfort. Correction comes later. Through exposure and feedback, thinking comes first. Before we move on, I want to give you a short mental exercise. Close your eyes for a moment and look around your room in your mind. Now, name 5 things in English. Then describe one action you're doing right now. Simple, clear, present. That's it. You've already started thinking in English. In the next part, we'll move to habit 2, where you'll learn how to replace translation with instinct by building what I call English reaction chains. This habit will dramatically improve your speaking speed and reduce hesitation. Stay with me. This process works, but only if you let it be simple. This is DreamWave English. I'm Sophia, and you're not learning English anymore. You're starting to live in it. Now that you've begun narrating your life in simple English, your brain is starting to accept English as a working language, not just a study subject. This is the foundation. But narration alone is not enough to reach real, fast, confident fluency. We now move to habit 2, the habit that removes hesitation and replaces translation with instinct. Habit 2 is called Build English Reaction Chains. Most learners hesitate because their brain follows this path. Idea in native language, translation, grammar check, word choice, then speaking. That path is slow and fragile. Reaction chains shorten the path. They train your brain to respond in English automatically, without analysis. A reaction chain is a simple, repeated connection between a situation and an English response. Let me show you what I mean. When you hear the phone ring, what do you think? For native speakers, the reaction is instant. I'll answer it. There's no translation. The sound triggers English directly. We want to build the same system for common thoughts, emotions, and situations. Start with very common triggers. These are things that happen every day. For example, you make a mistake. You wait for someone. You don't understand. You agree. You disagree. You feel tired. You feel stressed. You feel excited. For each trigger, choose one simple English response. Only one. This is important. Let's take, I don't understand. Your reaction chain becomes trigger, confusion. Reaction, I don't understand. Not, I'm not quite sure what you mean. Not, could you clarify that for me? Those are useful later. Right now, we want speed, not variety. Another example, trigger, waiting. Reaction, I'm waiting. Trigger, agreement. Reaction, that makes sense. Trigger, disagreement. Reaction, I don't think so. Trigger, tiredness. Reaction, I'm tired. You repeat these reactions in your daily life, in your mind, every time the trigger appears. After enough repetitions, the English response appears automatically, without effort. This is exactly how native fluency works. Many advanced learners make a critical mistake here. They try to memorize too many expressions at once. Their brain gets overloaded, and nothing becomes automatic. Fluency is not about how many phrases you know. It's about how fast the right one appears. Choose 5 triggers for your first week. Only 5. Now let's upgrade this habit for C1, C2 learners. Once your basic reaction chains feel automatic, you extend them by one step. This creates flow. For example, trigger, confusion. Basic reaction, I don't understand. Extended reaction, I don't understand what you mean. Trigger, tiredness. Basic reaction, I'm tired. Extended reaction, I'm tired today. Trigger, agreement. Basic reaction, that makes sense. Extended reaction, that makes sense to me. Notice something important. We are not adding complexity randomly. We are extending natural high-frequency structures. This keeps your English sounding natural and confident. Here's a powerful rule. Never practice reaction chains by sitting and repeating them like a robot. Practice them only when the real trigger happens. That's how the brain learns relevance. If you forget to use English in the moment, that's okay. Use it immediately after. Replay the moment in your mind and say the English reaction. This still trains the habit. Now let's talk about inner speech speed. Many learners say, I can think in English, but it's slow. Speed comes from chunking. Reaction chains are chunks. The brain stores them as one unit, not separate words. I don't know becomes one sound, one feeling, one reaction, not 3 words. To accelerate this process, speak your reaction chains quietly out loud when you're alone. Your brain connects sound, muscle movement, and meaning. This deepens automaticity. Another advanced technique is emotional anchoring. Emotion strengthens memory. When you feel frustrated, excited, or happy, that moment has more impact. When those emotions appear, force yourself to use your English reaction. Even if it feels uncomfortable, that discomfort is growth. Now I want to address a mindset issue that blocks many high-level learners. They think, this is too basic for my level. But here's the truth. Native fluency is built on extremely basic structures used automatically. Advanced fluency is not advanced grammar. It's advanced control of simple language. Listen to native conversations. You'll hear, I think, I feel, I don't know, that's true, maybe, again and again. The magic is not the words. It's the speed and confidence. Before we move on, let's do a short practice together. Imagine these situations. Don't translate, just react. You didn't hear someone. Reaction. Sorry? You need more time. Reaction. Just a moment. You agree. Reaction. Exactly. You're unsure. Reaction. I'm not sure. Say them in your mind. Feel how fast they appear. This is thinking in English. Your assignment before part 3 is simple. Choose 5 triggers. Choose 1 English reaction for each. Use them every day for 1 week. Don't change them. Don't add new ones. Build strength before variety. In the next part, we'll work on habit 3. This habit will teach you how to maintain English thinking for long periods without mental fatigue, using a technique called controlled inner dialogue. Stay with me. You're not forcing English, you're training instinct. This is DreamWave English. I'm Sophia, and your English is becoming faster, calmer, and more natural with every habit you build. At this point, you've started narrating your life in English, and you've begun building reaction chains that replace translation with instinct. Many learners stop here and feel some improvement. But to think in English all day, you need endurance. You need to be able to stay in English without feeling mentally exhausted. This is where habit 3 comes in. Habit 3 is called controlled inner dialogue. Most learners either don't talk to themselves in English at all, or they try to do it non-stop and burn out. Controlled inner dialogue is the balance between those two extremes. It teaches your brain when to use English actively and when to let it rest, without switching back to your native language. Let's start with an important truth. Native speakers do not think in full sentences all the time. Much of their thinking is emotional, visual, or fragmented. You don't need to force English into every second of your day. You need to create strong English zones. An English zone is a specific time or activity where English is the default language of thought. Examples of powerful English zones are walking alone, commuting, doing simple housework, exercising, waiting in line, showering. These moments are perfect because your body is busy, but your mind is free. Choose 2 English zones to start. Only 2. For example, walking and showering. During these zones, you actively use inner dialogue in English. You ask yourself questions. You answer them. You reflect, plan, and react in English. For example, while walking, you might think, "What am I going to do today? I need to finish my work. I hope the meeting goes well. I should call my friend later." This is not narration anymore. This is dialogue. You are having a conversation with yourself. Here's the key rule. The language must feel natural, not forced. If you don't know how to express something, simplify it. Short sentences are not a weakness. They are a sign of control. Now let's talk about structure. A controlled inner dialogue follows 3 basic functions: describing, reacting, planning. Describing is what you already practiced in habit 1. Reacting comes from habit 2. Planning is the new element. Planning thoughts are extremely powerful because they repeat every day. Examples: I need to do this first. I'll do that later. I don't want to forget. This is important. These sentences are simple, but they appear hundreds of times a day. When they become automatic in English, your brain stays in English naturally. Now let's address mental fatigue. If you try to think in English all day without control, your brain will resist. You'll feel tired, frustrated, and you'll quit. Controlled inner dialogue prevents this by creating clear on and off switches. When you are not in an English zone, you give yourself permission to rest. This reduces pressure and guilt. Fluency grows faster when the brain feels safe. Over time, something interesting happens. English zones expand naturally. Your brain chooses English more often without effort. This is exactly how bilingual thinking develops. Now let's upgrade this habit for C1, C2 learners. At higher levels, controlled inner dialogue includes opinion building. Instead of only saying what you're doing, you start expressing viewpoints. For example, I think this is a good idea. I don't agree with that approach. I prefer the first option. This could be a problem. You are training your brain to form abstract thought in English, not just concrete descriptions. Another powerful technique is question looping. You ask yourself a question, answer it, then ask a follow-up question. For example, why am I feeling stressed? Because I have too much work. What can I do about it? I can focus on one task. This creates depth and keeps your mind engaged in English for longer periods. Now let's talk about a common block. Many learners say, "I don't have interesting thoughts in English." That's not true. You're just judging your English too much. Inner dialogue is private. It doesn't need to be impressive. It needs to be honest. Simple thoughts, repeated daily, build fluency faster than complex thoughts used once a week. Another important rule: never correct yourself mid-thought. If you notice a mistake, ignore it and continue. Correction interrupts flow. Fluency comes from continuity. If you want correction, do it later during study time, not during thinking time. Let's do a short guided practice. Imagine you are walking outside right now. Ask yourself in English, "How do I feel?" Answer it. "What do I need to do today?" Answer it. "What am I thinking about?" Answer it. Don't rush. Let the thoughts appear naturally. This is controlled inner dialogue. Your assignment before part 4 is simple. Choose 2 English zones. Use controlled inner dialogue in those zones every day for 1 week. Do not extend beyond those zones yet. Let the habit stabilize. In the next part, we'll move to habit 4. This habit will help you stop translating complex ideas and start thinking in English at a higher, more abstract level, using what I call idea compression. Stay with me. You're not just learning to think in English, you're learning to live comfortably inside it. This is DreamWave English. I'm Sophia, and your English thinking is becoming stronger, longer, and more natural every day. So far, you've learned how to narrate your life, build reaction chains, and maintain controlled inner dialogue through English zones. These habits create consistency and endurance. But many advanced learners still face one major problem. They can think in English about daily life, but when ideas become complex, emotional, or abstract, they switch back to their native language. Habit 4 solves this problem. Habit 4 is called idea compression. Idea compression is the skill of expressing complex thoughts using simple, flexible English structures. This habit is what separates fluent thinkers from constant translators. Let me explain why translation happens at higher levels. When your brain wants to express a complex idea, it looks for precision. Your native language feels safer because it has deeper emotional and conceptual connections. English feels slower because you try to match the same level of detail. That's when you get stuck. The solution is not more vocabulary. The solution is fewer, stronger structures. Idea compression means you reduce a complex thought into its core meaning, then express that meaning using simple English. You don't lose intelligence, you gain speed. For example, imagine this complex thought in your native language. This situation is frustrating because people are not taking responsibility, and the process is inefficient. A translator tries to convert every part. A fluent English thinker compresses the idea. This situation is frustrating. People aren't taking responsibility. The process is inefficient. Or even more compressed, this situation is frustrating because nothing is organized. The meaning is clear. The flow is natural. The thinking stays in English. Now let's identify the core structures used in idea compression. There are 5. The first structure is I think and I feel. These are not weak phrases. They are anchors for abstract thought. Examples: I think this is unnecessary. I feel this isn't fair. I think we need a different plan. The second structure is cause and effect. Simple connectors: because, so that's why. Examples: I'm tired because I worked late. This doesn't work, so we need a change. He didn't prepare, that's why it failed. The third structure is comparison. Simple forms, better than, worse than, not as, more than. Examples: this option is better than the other one. This is not as effective as before. This approach is more practical. The fourth structure is uncertainty. Simple expressions. Maybe I'm not sure, it seems like. Examples: maybe this will help. I'm not sure this is the right time. It seems like they're confused. The fifth structure is emphasis. Simple emphasis phrases. The main problem is, the key point is, what matters most is. Examples: the main problem is communication. The key point is timing. What matters most is consistency. These 5 structure groups allow you to express almost any idea at a high level without translating. Now let's talk about practice. You don't practice idea compression by memorizing sentences. You practice it by catching complex thoughts and simplifying them in real time. When you notice yourself thinking in your native language about something complicated, pause and ask yourself one question: what is the main point? Then express only that main point in English. For example, native thought: long, emotional, detailed, compressed English thought: this is stressful and I need a break. That's enough. C1, C2 learners often feel that simple English makes them sound less intelligent. This is a misunderstanding. Intelligence is clarity. Native speakers respect clarity far more than complexity. Now let's upgrade this habit for advanced fluency. Once you can compress ideas, you can chain them. This is called layered compression. Example: I think this plan is risky because the timeline is too short. The main problem is pressure. This is 2 compressed ideas connected naturally. Another example: I'm not sure this will work. The process seems unclear. You're thinking at a high level without leaving English. Now let's address a common emotional block. Many learners feel frustration when they can't express their exact thoughts. They feel limited. But fluency is not about exactness. It's about control. Exactness grows over time through exposure, not force. Your goal is not to say everything. Your goal is to say enough to stay in English. Here's a short guided practice. Think of a problem in your life right now. Don't analyze it deeply. Ask, what is the main problem? Now express it in 1 or 2 simple English sentences. Next, ask, how do I feel about it? Add 1 sentence. That's idea compression. Your assignment before part 5 is this. Once a day, notice 1 complex thought. Compress it into 2 simple English sentences using the structures we discussed. Write nothing. Just think it. In the next part, we'll move to habit 5. This habit will help you think in English emotionally, not just logically, by building emotional language patterns that feel natural and real. Stay with me. You're not simplifying your English. You're strengthening it. This is DreamWave English. I'm Sophia. And your English thinking is becoming clearer, faster, and more confident with every habit you build. Up to now, your English thinking has become more automatic, more controlled, and more flexible. You can describe, react, plan, and compress ideas. But there is one missing layer that many advanced learners struggle with. They can think logically in English, but emotionally they still switch back to their native language. Habit 5 closes this gap. Habit 5 is called emotional labeling in English. Emotion is the strongest driver of thought. When emotions appear, the brain wants speed and comfort. If English does not feel emotionally available, your mind will escape to your first language. To think in English all day, English must become an emotional language. not just a functional one. Let's start with an important clarification. Emotional English does not mean dramatic or poetic language. It means accurate, simple labels for what you feel. Most learners know basic emotion words like happy, sad, angry, but they rarely use them in real-time thinking. Or they try to use very advanced words and hesitate. The solution is a core emotional vocabulary used automatically. We begin with emotional labeling. Whenever you feel something, you name it in English. For example, I feel stressed, I feel calm, I feel frustrated, I feel excited, I feel bored. These sentences may sound simple, but they are extremely powerful. They connect English directly to your nervous system. Here's why this matters. When you label an emotion in English, you stop the emotional switch to your native language. You stay inside English, even under pressure. This is a major step toward real fluency. Now let's build your emotional foundation. Choose 10 emotional states. Only 10. Here is a strong starting list. Calm, stressed, tired, motivated, frustrated, confident, nervous, relaxed, excited, bored. You don't need more right now. Whenever one of these emotions appears, think or say, I feel, plus the emotion. Do this immediately, not later. Speed matters. Now let's add depth without complexity. Once labeling becomes automatic, you add one reason. Examples. I feel stressed because I have too much work. I feel confident because I prepared. I feel tired because I didn't sleep well. Notice how this uses idea compression from habit 4. You're stacking habits naturally. Now let's talk about emotional honesty. Many learners avoid emotional English because they don't feel safe expressing emotions in a foreign language. But this is inner speech. No one is judging you. Emotional honesty strengthens connection and memory. Another advanced technique is emotional contrast. This helps your brain notice changes. Examples. I felt nervous before, but now I feel calm. I was frustrated, but now I'm motivated. This type of thinking is very common in native inner dialogue. Now let's address a common block. Some learners say, I don't know what I feel. That's normal. Start with physical sensations. Examples. I feel tense. I feel heavy. I feel light. I feel tight in my chest. These are emotional bridges. Over time, emotional clarity improves. Now let's upgrade habit 5 for C1, C2 learners. At higher levels, emotional labeling includes attitudes and reactions. Examples. I'm disappointed with the result. I'm satisfied with my progress. I'm annoyed by the delay. I'm proud of myself. These phrases are not advanced, but they are emotionally rich. Use them. Another powerful practice is emotional reflection at the end of the day. Choose one moment from your day and think in English. How did I feel? Why did I feel that way? What did I learn? 3 questions. Simple, effective. This trains emotional memory in English. Now let's do a short guided practice. Think about how you feel right now. Label it in English. Add one reason. That's it. You just strengthened your emotional English. Your assignment before part 6 is this. Every day label at least 5 emotions in English. Don't write them, just think them. Keep them simple. Keep them honest. In the next part, we'll move to habit 6. This habit will help you maintain English thinking even during conversations by training anticipation and response in English before you speak. Stay with me. English is no longer just something you use. It's something you feel. This is DreamWave English. I'm Sophia. and your English is becoming emotionally real, not just technically correct. At this stage, English is becoming your internal language. You can think, plan, react, and feel in English when you are alone. But many advanced learners still face a sudden breakdown the moment they enter a real conversation. Their mind goes blank, anxiety appears, and translation returns. Habit 6 is designed to fix this. Habit 6 is called anticipation and pre-response thinking. Fluent speakers do not wait for words to appear after someone speaks. Their brain is already moving. They anticipate. They prepare. They stay one step ahead in English. Most learners do the opposite. They listen, translate, understand, then search for a response. That delay creates stress. Anticipation removes the delay. Let's break this habit down clearly. Pre-response thinking means you silently prepare possible English responses before it's your turn to speak. Not full sentences, simple directions of thought. For example, imagine you are in a meeting or conversation. While the other person is speaking, your brain might think, I agree, I disagree, I need to explain, I need to ask a question. These are not spoken yet. They are mental anchors. When the person finishes speaking, you are already positioned to respond. English flows naturally. Now let's practice anticipation in everyday situations. Start with predictable conversations. Examples: ordering food, small talk, work meetings, online, calls, customer service. These situations follow patterns. Patterns are perfect for anticipation. For example, when ordering food, you already know the possible moments. They greet you. They ask what you want. They ask about size or options. They confirm. Before each step, your brain prepares. I want this. I'll choose that. That's fine. Yes, please. You're thinking in English before speaking. Now let's move to less predictable conversations. Even in open discussions, most responses fall into a few categories: agreement, disagreement, clarification, opinion, reaction. Your brain can prepare these categories in advance. For example, agreement, I agree. Disagreement, I see it differently. Clarification, can you explain that? Opinion, I think. Reaction, that's interesting. You don't need to know the exact sentence yet. You just need the direction. This reduces anxiety dramatically. Now let's talk about internal pacing. Many learners panic because they feel pressure to respond immediately. But natural conversation allows pauses. Fluent speakers use short fillers to buy time while thinking in English. Examples: let me think. That's a good question. I see what you mean. These phrases are not weaknesses. They are tools. Add 2 or 3 of these to your reaction chains. Now let's upgrade Habit 6 for C1, C2 learners. At higher levels, anticipation includes structuring your response mentally. You think, main point first, then example, then conclusion. This internal structure keeps your English organized and confident. For example, I think this is important because it saves time. For example, we can reduce steps, so overall, it's more efficient. This is not memorized. It's anticipated structure. Another advanced technique is echo thinking. While listening, you silently repeat key words or phrases in English. This keeps your brain active and prevents translation. For example, if someone says, the timeline is too short, your brain repeats, too short, timeline. This anchors English in real time. Now let's address fear. Many learners are afraid of making mistakes in conversations. This fear blocks anticipation. Remember this: conversation is not a test, it's a process. Native speakers make mistakes constantly. What matters is flow and connection. Another important rule: never prepare perfect sentences in your head. That creates pressure. Prepare intentions, not scripts. Now let's do a guided practice. Imagine someone is explaining a problem. While listening, your brain thinks, I understand. I want to add something. I disagree. They finish speaking. You say, I see your point, but I think there's another issue. That sentence appeared naturally because the direction was already there. This is anticipation at work. Your assignment before Part 7 is this: during one conversation each day, focus only on anticipation. Don't worry about grammar. Just prepare your direction of response in English while listening. In the next part, we'll move to Habit 7, the final habit. This habit will help you permanently lock English as a default thinking language through identity and environment design. Stay with me. You are not reacting in English anymore. You are moving in English. This is DreamWave English. I'm Sophia. And your English is becoming confident, present, and ready before you speak. You've now built 6 powerful habits that allow you to think, feel, and respond in English with speed and control. The final habit is not about technique. It's about permanence. Without this habit, English thinking can fade when motivation drops or life becomes busy. Habit 7 is what locks everything in. Habit 7 is called identity and environment design. Fluent English thinkers do not rely on willpower. They design their identity and environment so English becomes the default, not a choice. Let's start with identity. Most learners see English as something they use sometimes. Fluent thinkers see English as part of who they are. This doesn't mean pretending to be someone else. It means updating your self-image. Instead of thinking, I'm learning English, you begin thinking, I'm an English user. I live part of my life in English. English is one of my thinking languages. This shift is subtle, but powerful. Your brain protects identity. When English becomes part of your identity, your brain supports it automatically. Now let's make this practical. Choose one role in your life where English is the default. Examples: your professional thinker, your planner, your personal development voice, your reflection voice. For example, you might decide, when I plan my future, I do it in English. Or, when I reflect on my day, I do it in English. This creates stability. Now let's talk about environment. Your environment constantly signals which language to use. If everything around you is in your native language, English feels foreign. We need to rebalance. This does not mean changing your whole life. It means strategic exposure. Here are high-impact environment adjustments. First, your phone and digital life. Change your phone language to English. Use English for calendars, reminders, and notes. Follow English content related to your interests. These are passive inputs, but they shape thought patterns. Second, your inner environment. This is how you talk to yourself during key moments. Examples: before starting work, before making a decision, after finishing a task. Choose English for these moments. Third, your consumption environment. Not just passive watching, but intentional listening. Choose one English voice you listen to regularly. Podcasts, videos, audiobooks. Familiar voices create comfort. Comfort creates thinking. Now let's address resistance. Some learners fear losing their native language identity. That fear is unnecessary. Languages add layers. They don't replace you. Another resistance is inconsistency. You might think in English for a week, then stop. This is normal. Identity habits grow slowly. The goal is not perfection. The goal is return. Every time you notice you've stopped thinking in English, you return without guilt. Now let's upgrade habit 7 for long-term mastery. Create one daily English anchor. An anchor is a non-negotiable moment where English always appears. Examples: morning planning in English, evening reflection in English, daily walk in English. One anchor is enough. This anchor maintains your English thinking even when life gets busy. Another advanced technique is future self-dialogue. Once a week, imagine yourself 1 year from now. Think in English. How have I improved? What am I proud of? What advice would I give myself? This strengthens emotional and identity connection to English. Now let's bring everything together. You narrate your life. You react instinctively. You use controlled inner dialogue. You compress ideas. You label emotions. You anticipate in conversations. You design identity and environment. This is how people think in English all day. Not by force, not by talent, by habit. Before we close this series, I want to speak to you directly. If you've reached this part, you are not a beginner. You are someone who is ready to live in English. Trust the process. Keep it simple. Stay consistent. Fluency is not a moment. It's a lifestyle. In the final parts, we'll review, reinforce, and combine these habits into a daily system you can follow without effort. We'll also talk about how to recover when English thinking breaks and how to keep progressing beyond C2. Stay with me until the end. This is DreamWave English. I'm Sophia, and English is no longer something you study. It's something you are becoming. Now that you understand all 7 habits, the next step is integration. Many learners fail, not because the habits don't work, but because they don't know how to combine them into a simple, repeatable daily system. In this part, I'll show you how to live these habits without feeling overwhelmed. This is called the Daily English Thinking System. The system has 3 phases: activation, maintenance, reflection. You move through these phases every day, naturally. Let's start with activation. Activation happens at the beginning of your day, or at the first moment you are alone. This is where you switch your brain into English mode. Activation takes only 2 to 5 minutes. Here's how you do it. You begin with narration and planning. You think in English. Today is a new day. I need to do a few important things. I want to stay focused. Then you activate emotion. I feel calm. I feel motivated. That's it. No pressure, no perfection. This short activation tells your brain, English is active today. Now we move to maintenance. Maintenance is where most of the day happens. This is not constant effort. It's strategic usage. Maintenance includes your English zones, reaction chains, emotional labeling, idea, compression, anticipation during conversations. You don't use everything at once. You let situations trigger habits naturally. For example, walking alone triggers inner dialogue. Stress triggers emotional labeling. Complex thoughts trigger idea compression. Conversations trigger anticipation. You are not forcing English. You are responding in English. Now let's talk about something very important: recovery. No one thinks in English all day perfectly. You will switch back to your native language. That is not failure. Recovery is the skill of returning to English quickly. Here's how you recover. The moment you notice you're not thinking in English, Say one simple sentence in your mind. Back to English. Then describe one thing around you. I'm sitting at my desk. That's enough to reset. Never criticize yourself. Criticism creates resistance. Recovery builds strength. Now let's move to reflection. Reflection happens at the end of the day or before sleep. This phase locks learning into long-term memory. Reflection takes 3 minutes. You ask yourself in English, what did I do well today? When did I think in English? How did I feel? You don't analyze deeply, you notice. This trains awareness and identity. Now let's address long-term progression. Many C1, C2 learners ask, how do I keep improving if my English is already advanced? The answer is depth, not difficulty. You deepen your emotional range, your idea clarity, your speed, your comfort. You don't chase rare vocabulary. You master common language. Another important principle is input alignment. Your input should match your thinking level. If you think in simple English but listen to extremely complex content, your brain will split. Choose content that feels natural but slightly challenging. Now let's talk about speaking. When your thinking improves, speaking follows automatically. Don't force speaking practice. Let it emerge. Think first, speak second. Now let's do a full day example. Morning, activation with narration and emotion. Midday, reaction chains at work. Anticipation in conversations. Afternoon, idea compression during planning. Evening, English zone during a walk. Night, reflection. That's the system. Simple, sustainable, powerful. Now let me address a final emotional concern. Some learners feel lonely thinking in English. This is temporary. As English becomes comfortable, it becomes a companion, not a barrier. English becomes a place where you can think clearly. Before we move to the final parts, I want you to remember this. Fluency is built quietly. No one sees the thinking, but everyone hears the result. In the next part, we'll talk about common mistakes that stop people from thinking in English long term and how to fix them quickly. Stay with me. This is DreamWave English. I'm Sophia, and English is no longer effort. It's a system that supports you every day. Now that you have a complete daily system, it's time to protect it. Even motivated, advanced learners often lose their English thinking habit because of small repeated mistakes. These mistakes are not obvious, but they slowly weaken fluency. In this part, we'll identify the most common mistakes that stop people from thinking in English long term, and, more importantly, how to fix them. Mistake 1 is trying to think in perfect English. This is the most dangerous mistake at C1, C2 level. Many advanced learners believe their English must always sound correct, intelligent, and native-like. This creates internal pressure. Pressure slows thinking. When thinking slows, the brain switches languages. The fix is simple but powerful. Separate thinking English from performance English. Thinking English is private. It can be messy, incomplete, and simple. Performance English is for writing, presentations, and exams. When you allow thinking English to be imperfect, fluency returns. Mistake 2 is overloading vocabulary. Some learners constantly add new words and try to use them immediately in thinking. This overloads the brain. Remember this principle. Automatic use comes before expansion. If a word is not automatic, don't force it into your thinking. Let it appear naturally through input and repetition. Fix this by limiting active vocabulary. Choose familiar words for thinking. Use advanced words only when they appear naturally. Mistake 3 is long forced thinking sessions. Thinking in English for long periods by force leads to burnout. The fix is English zones and anchors. Short, consistent sessions are far more effective than long, exhausting ones. Mistake 4 is judging progress emotionally. Some days, your English will feel smooth. Other days, it will feel blocked. Learners often panic on bad days and stop. This is normal. Fluency is not linear. The fix is tracking behavior, not feeling. Ask, did I return to English today? Not, did English feel good today? Mistake 5 is avoiding emotion. Many learners stay logical and avoid emotional English. This keeps English shallow. The fix is emotional labeling. When emotion appears, label it in English immediately, even if the word feels basic. Mistake 6 is waiting for confidence before using English. Confidence is not a prerequisite, it's a result. The fix is usage without evaluation. Use English in your head, regardless of confidence level. Mistake 7 is isolating English from identity. If English is only a skill, it disappears under stress. The fix is identity integration. You are not studying English. You are living part of your life in English. Now let's talk about recovery after long breaks. If you stop thinking in English for weeks or months, don't start from zero. Restart with habit 1 and habit 2 only. Narration and reaction chains. Rebuild fluency quickly. Avoid reviewing everything. Return to basics. Now let's talk about plateaus. At advanced levels, progress feels invisible. The fix is measuring differently. Measure speed of thought, emotional comfort, reduced hesitation, shorter pauses, not grammar perfection, accent changes. Now let's talk about motivation. Motivation fades, systems remain. If you wait to feel motivated, you will stop. If you rely on anchors and habits, you continue automatically. Now let's do a final mental reset exercise. Take a moment. Think in English. I don't need to be perfect. I just need to return. Say it again in your mind. This mindset protects fluency. In the final part, we'll bring everything together one last time, and I'll give you a clear, long-term roadmap to maintain and deepen your English thinking for life. Stay with me. This is DreamWave English. I'm Sophia, and fluency stays strong when you protect it with awareness, not pressure. You've reached the final part of this journey, and that matters. Not because you finished a video series, but because your relationship with English has already changed. You're no longer chasing fluency. You're building a way of thinking that can stay with you for life. In this final part, we'll bring everything together into a clear long-term roadmap. This roadmap is not intense. It's realistic, sustainable, and designed for real people with real lives. Let's begin with a simple truth. Fluent English thinking is not something you achieve once. It's something you maintain lightly. If you try to hold it tightly, you lose it. If you let it live naturally, it stays. Now let's review the 7 habits one last time, but not as techniques, as a lifestyle. You narrate your life in simple English. This keeps English connected to reality. You build reaction chains. This keeps English fast and automatic. You use controlled inner dialogue. This gives English endurance. You compress ideas. This allows you to think clearly without translating. You label emotions. This makes English emotionally real. You anticipate in conversations. This keeps English active under pressure. You design identity and environment. This locks English in long term. These habits work together. You don't turn them on manually anymore. They activate each other. Now let's talk about your long-term rhythm. Your English thinking life has 3 phases: growth, stability, renewal. In the growth phase, you focus on building habits. That's where you are now. In the stability phase, English feels normal. You stop measuring progress. In the renewal phase, you gently refresh when life changes. Most learners fail because they stay in growth mode forever and burn out. Your goal is stability. So how do you maintain stability? You keep one daily anchor. You keep 2 English zones. You reflect briefly at night. That's it. If you do only this, your English thinking will not disappear. Now let's talk about advancement beyond C2. At this level, fluency is not about difficulty. It's about refinement. You refine tone, nuance, emotional accuracy, cultural awareness. You do this through exposure, not force. Listen to how native speakers soften opinions. Notice how they hesitate naturally. Notice how they simplify under pressure. Then let it influence your thinking. Now let's talk about setbacks. Life will interrupt your English. Stress, illness, work, emotions. This is normal. When that happens, remember this rule. Never restart. Always return. Returning means one simple English thought, one narrated action, one labeled emotion. That's enough. Now I want to talk about confidence. Real confidence is quiet. If you're thinking in English, confidence is already there, even if you don't feel it yet. Confidence shows up later, when you speak and realize you didn't hesitate. Now let's talk about enjoyment. Fluency stays strongest when English becomes enjoyable. Use English for things you care about. Think about your interests in English. Dream in English. Plan in English. This is when English stops being a skill and becomes a space. Before we close, I want to give you a final daily sentence. Think this sentence in English every day. English is part of my life now. Not a goal, not a promise, a fact. If you ever feel lost, return to this sentence. Now let me speak to you directly. As Sophia, you don't need more methods. You don't need more rules. You don't need more pressure. You need patience and consistency. Fluency is built quietly, inside your mind, one thought at a time. Thank you for spending this time with me on DreamWave English. If this series helped you, return to it. Let it play in the background. Let the ideas sink in slowly. Your English journey doesn't end here. It becomes easier from here. This is DreamWave English. I'm Sophia, and English is no longer something you learn. It's something you live.